Hello and welcome to the WB Mason Coaches Report with Hofstra baseball coach John Russo. Joined as always by John Russo for this week's report. Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Coming off a 2-2 week last week, start at the beginning of the week, non-conference road game at Manhattan, lost 9-4. Obviously a little bit of a different lineup being due to the suspensions of three starters and yourself actually, so you missed that game. Team fought hard, a little jumbled lineup. What were your thoughts after talking with Kelly Haynes following that game?
The big thing I thought in that game that we hadn't done all year was we didn't have much energy. And I think the guys were still feeling the effects of the fight from Sunday. And, they felt really bad afterwards. It was something all of us didn't want to happen. And they're good kids. And after, it wearing off, I think they just felt a little bit wrong. And, it carried for sure into Wednesday's game. And, we didn't get good pitching from all the pitchers that threw. Actually, we had 15 extra bases, 10 walks, 5 hits batsmen. That's something we hadn't done since Florida State. And, so we just really went backwards on Wednesday, and the new guys in the lineup didn't get going. But it did get us ready for the weekend.
Let's move on to the weekend. You head down to Norfolk, Virginia, Old Dominion. Traditionally one of the better teams in the CAA. Take game one, 9-5. Jump out early. Leading 6-0 after 2 innings. Hold off a late rally. What are your thoughts on that game?
I thought the early scoring really helped us because, there was really no telling how we could do, especially coming off a bad loss against Manhattan. And, we're real worried and, had the suspension still to deal with. And, we felt confident having David on the mound and, really thought we were going to have to rely on him to get us a win. And then, next thing you know, we're up 8 runs in a hurry or 6 runs in a hurry. And we got really good AB in the first inning from Taylor Stewart. We put him in the 3-hole in a straight switch with 4 just so we could keep the rest of the order the same. And, he had a great at-bat, and then we were able to strike for a couple runs and, really got going well. And then, in the 4th inning, David goes down with an arm injury. It was a really big blow because, David's a guy for us. And but we had Andrew Barbarino come in and, gave us 3 great innings. It honestly might be the best he's pitched in his career here. He was 86, 88, topping at 90. It's definitely the hardest he'd been throwing all year, and ever since I've seen him, actually. And just had a good confidence to him, and, he's probably going to be the guy we're going to look to step into David's spot.
All right. And, moving forward then, game 2, 13-5 loss to the Monarchs. And this time the ODU jumped out early, scoring 8 runs in the first 3 innings. John Tiedemann got roughed up a little bit. What are you seeing from him? I know it's been a constant, topic each week here.
He has been. He's a little bit of an enigma right now. He got 5 good innings, a bad 6th, 5 good innings, a bad 6th. And I don't even know this one was so much as having bad stuff. People, he had really good stuff. The problem he had was he wasn't hitting his spots. His location was really off. And, ODU's a good team that, Chris Baker's pretty much owned us in the 3 years I've been here. And, had a grand slam late in Friday's game, and then his first at bat on Saturday, he hits a ball that, probably picked up back here on Long Island. And, John just made mistakes. He was trying to work in. He worked back over to plate. He gave up 2 more home runs. He made an error during the inning that he had. He just had a really bad game for him. And, you got to give ODU credit. He made some mistakes. He had good stuff, and they left the yard 3 times. And, our relievers came in and did an okay job. Brendan Mulligan had really nice stuff. And, John Krause had 3 innings, which is probably the most he's thrown since he's been here, and 3 shutout innings in a big spot. And was really happy with how John finished out that game. And you could almost say he gave us a little bit of momentum heading into Sunday's game.
In Sunday's game, again, rain-shortened 11-1 win in 6 innings. Dave Jesh pitched well all season. Gives you 5 2/3, allows 5 singles, strikes out 7 batters. Offense clicking on all cylinders. And he sent 13 men to the plate in the 4th inning, scored 8 runs. He definitely left Norfolk on a high note.
Dave Jesh has been borderline amazing. I mean, think about his first 3 conference starts. We were 0-2 down at George Mason. His freshman first Sunday, he wins the game on Sunday. And last weekend we're 2-0 and really could use a sweep and get us back in the conference race. And another great set, 6, 7 innings from him last Sunday, and then this weekend a 1-1, tie, and ODU having all the momentum after Saturday's win, and he comes out and he was as dominating as he'd been all year and had really great stuff. And I think the offense really fed off of David's energy. The first couple innings. I mean, they're big hitters. He was down 3-0 to Baker in the second inning and came back to get a ground out and really battled back. And I just think it set the tone for us of the game. And Austin Nyman had a huge hit-in weekend. I mean, he had great defensively at second base and had a lot of big hits and just was a total pest the whole weekend. And he had a big hit to put us up, and then Danny hits the homer to make it 2-0. And then, what's happened a lot with this year with us is when we get momentum going, we can strike for a lot in a hurry. And, to start that whole thing, TJ was going on a pitch, and the guy balked, and then the kid got rattled a little bit by the balk, and next thing, right center hits a double, Austin hits a single, and there it goes, and we really got clicking and really got going. And, I was really happy to walk away with that win. And like you said, it was raining, and David's pitching in really tough circumstances. They probably could have called it probably before the 5th, but they pushed through, and he really battled to keep it there.
Like you said, it was a tough week with 3 starters out due to the suspensions. How proud of you are you of the team? How they fought through this week.
A big thing that I talked to them about, and I've talked to this since the day I've took over, is moving forward. We heard what the suspensions were. Now we're going to move forward. We're not going to make excuses, for any game that we lose on Wednesday or a game we lose on Saturday. We're just going to move forward, play the next game. And, I think the guys have just done a great job of that. And they've left whatever win we've had or whatever loss we've had behind, and then they played the next game really hard. And, the constant thing they did on this weekend was they just played hard. Even when we were down on the Saturday game, they constantly kept putting pressure, and we did try to steal some bags, and not a normal time when people would steal, but I didn't want to turn it off. I wanted them to keep getting used to putting pressure on the other team, and I think it really carried over into Sunday's game because McCarthy sat and watched it, and he's sitting there waiting, and he changed up a lot of stuff he did yesterday, and right before you know it, we struck for a lot of runs. So, we had some guys really step up. In the suspensions, I thought Taylor Stewart had an unbelievable weekend. He hit in a 3-hole with 100 average and really delivered. And then on yesterday, we moved to the leadoff, and he gets a hit and a homer. And, Kevin Flynn, the last 5 games, had a hit in every game. And yesterday was his first hitless game. I think kids are calling it Flynn Sanity. And he's a really popular guy among our team. And Austin Nyman, I thought, what a hidden player he is on our roster. He's second on the team in runs scored. He usually is batting in the 9-hole, and just figures out a way to score. And that's a good quality to have, and a hidden quality he has.
And yeah, obviously with Nyman batting the 9-hole, and then with Russo leading off and Danny batting third, it's almost having 2 leadoff hitters. Pullman's been coming up with those guys on base a lot, and he's right up there in RBIs on the team along with Jared Hammer.
I agree.
Another guy who had a really good week, Kenny Jackson, hit over 400 on the week, starting to show signs of coming out of the early season slump. How important is he to an offense that really already is clicking on pretty much all cylinders?
Well, he was a big, on Friday night they basically intentionally walked Hammer to get to him to load the bases with 1 out, and he delivered the big knock to center field, hit off the center field wall, and he really swung well all weekend, and that's the Kenny that we know. And he necessarily hasn't been swinging bad all year. It's just he hadn't had much luck, and he got some luck, and with the ball falling, he got a lot more confident and swung like the Kenny Jackson of old. And if Kenny can get going like what he did last year, we'd be really tough, especially batting behind Hammer. The one thing that's going to hurt us here in the next 2 weeks is I'm going to have to rest Dalton. He got hit in the hand at George Mason, and it's just never healed. And I felt really bad on Friday and Saturday. He was basically hitting with one hand. He didn't get a hit and really took a hit to his average. But, he really stepped up for the team and played great defense. And with not having Ford, we just didn't have another infielder. And, Dalton, what a great team thing it was for him to step up and play Friday and Saturday. And now we'll give Dalton the rest he needs to get his hand back with the weekend being off of conference. And, I think the guys are just figuring out that we can put any guy in any spot, and we have a lot of belief that guy's going to come through in that spot, and it happened this weekend with, Stewart, Flynn, Kenny coming back, and this is a good team right now.
Okay, you got full complement of players back now. with the suspensions haven't been served. You got a big non-conference week this week. You got a game at Marist tomorrow, then a non-conference weekend, right in the middle of the conference season. You take a little break, go down to Delaware State. How important is it, or how hard is it to motivate the guys for non-conference games? The conference games, conference weekends are very intense.
Right.
Is there a worry about a letdown going into this week?
I think the thing we have to get back to is pitching better. We have a rule. Our first goal in our defense is not to give up 5 free bases, and we did it on Wednesday. We gave up 15. On Saturday we gave up, on Friday we gave up 9 in a win, and on Saturday we gave up 10 free bases, walks, hits, batsmen, or errors. And we got to get back to that this Tuesday, next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we can get back to what we were doing. And I think this team is built around pitching and defense. I think that's the success to our victory. As much as people are putting on how great the offense is doing, the offense can't deliver every day, but the pitching can, the defense can. And we're going to get Verbitsky back in tomorrow. We're going to let him start the game against Marist and get him right back in the lineup after being gone for 4 days. And we'll get him back DH in this weekend against Delaware State. And we're going to have to probably move Andrew Barbarino into the start and rotation maybe next Friday against Delaware State because of David being out. But we found out, earlier this morning it looks like a strain for David and not Tommy John, which was a big worry. And Jared Rogers actually has a chance to return this weekend. So I don't know if David will be back for Georgia State, but listen, if he's back the following weekend, we'll take it because on Friday we thought he was done for the year. And what a big lift it's going to get him back after the Georgia State weekend.
Yeah, the team enters the week with a 10-11 record, 6-3 in the conference. How much is, with 4 non-conference games this week, how big a factor is, getting the team over 500? Will that do for, morale and psyche?
It was a big thing. I thought it was a big thing going into the Manhattan game, and we delivered a dud. And, I'm hoping tomorrow with the Marist and coming off a good victory, I talked to Danny Poma this morning a lot bases off of the starting pitch and the defense. And, I thought Danny had a really bad Manhattan game. He had 3 pop-ups. And, as we were talking earlier, Danny affects almost 4 guys in our lineup. He gets Austin run scored. He gets Dalton or Taylor now in the leadoff hole. Matt Ford hits better pitches when Danny's going. So one guy is affecting 4 guys in our lineup, and I think if Danny can get going and have a good game tomorrow and a good weekend against Delaware State, will be pretty good. Marist had a win earlier against Coastal Carolina this year. They're going to be a tough team. They won 2 of 3 this weekend from Manhattan. And Delaware State's leading the MEAC in first place at 5-1 and just beat Delaware last week. So it's going to be a tough series. And the one thing besides the Manhattan game that we've done constantly is showed up and played hard. And I think that's been a big factor and something that we continue to do. I won't let them take the gas off the pedal right here. We've got to keep it going and get ready for Georgia State, who's owned us in the past.
All right, well, good luck this week.
Thank you.
And we'll see you here next week.
You got it. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on the WB Mason Coaches Report with John Russo.